we're recording, so you can start whenever you want.
Hey, welcome to Stick of the Kayfabe podcast with me, Anthony Hill,
And
and
Trenton.
my brother.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so let's do it again. Hey, welcome to Stick of the Kayfabe podcast. I'm Anthony Hill,
And I'm Trenton Hill.
and we're brothers. We've been very passionate about wrestling since I remember. Whenever I was about 8 years old, watching wrestling in my friend's living room. This is about we're going to be talking about rankings, Raw recap, SmackDown recap, AEW recap, hot takes, rankings, pretty much do with wrestling. Sometimes we'll go over classic matches and whatever we feel like, pretty much. This is Stick of the Kayfabe. Just a little introduction about myself. Like I said before, I've been watching wrestling since I was 8 years old. Watching Batista and versus the Great Khali when he first came in. That's what pretty much got me started to wrestling. I kind of branched off. I say I watched for 8 to 10 years old. I kind of branched off a little bit. And what got me back into wrestling was CM Punk before he went to the Straight Edge Society where he GTS the referee. That immediately got me back hooked up to wrestling as well. Pretty much that's what's got me into wrestling. I've watched it ever since. I'm kind of a WWE mark. I prefer WWE over AEW. It's what I've been accustomed to. They have better storytelling, especially with Triple H being at the helm now. I feel like we're getting a lot of variety and actually getting pro wrestling back into the hands of people who aren't going senile. That's pretty much on who I am. I'm also 24 years old, married, have three dogs, two boys, one girl. So that's pretty much about me.
All right, and myself, I remember watching wrestling with my dad and my brother and sister. And then around the time WCW went away, stopped watching wrestling and made fun of it. Made fun of my little brother here for watching wrestling, and I think slowly but surely, when he started bringing around SmackDown versus Raw 2007, I kind of got back into it just because we would create characters and Stone Cold Stunner the Jonas Brothers off the Hell in a Cell. I got back into wrestling when CM Punk was in the Straight Edge Society and he called everybody gluttonous back during Thanksgiving of 2009. And ever since then, I've been off and on with wrestling. I recently got back into it when, lo and behold, CM Punk came back to wrestling. I stopped watching for almost 7 years, off and on. I wasn't really into it, but here I am. We're here talking about wrestling. Let's get into it.
Alrighty, first things first, we're going to go with the Raw recap. It obviously happened yesterday. We had the WWE Women's Tag Team Tournament with Asuka and I believe it was Asuka, Alexa Bliss versus Doudrop and Nikki ASH with Asuka and Alexa Bliss winning. We're going to first start off with that. I believe it's a great introduction to the tournament with them winning because I know now next week they have to go against Dakota Kai and Isla Sky, which is obviously going to set them up for Clash at the Castle, which I believe it's September 9th.
Third,
Correct? September 3rd,
2 weeks.
which actually I'm pretty excited for that because that's actually the first pay-per-view that AAA is going to be writing and scripting. I know with SummerSlam, he also was in control of that, but that was in the midst of Vince McMahon retiring due to sexual allegations, which is, I mean, we all kind of saw it
I
coming
thought it
from
was more hush
years.
money than anything.
Yeah,
I
so
think it was using company funds to
yeah,
pay people to keep
ethic.
quiet.
Yeah, so the ethical reasons of retiring. But then, I'm really excited because we're gonna have a climax at Clash of the Castle. My theory is, whenever they're coming close to the end of the tournament, I do hear some rumors that Sasha Banks and Naomi is gonna be coming back. I feel like whoever wins that is gonna be kind of like a CM Punk John Cena type of match at the end, where John Cena beat Rey Mysterio for the WWE Championship after in the tournament when CM Punk supposedly left. and they had a title match, I believe, at Clash of Champions. I could be wrong. I don't remember the exact pay-per-view when they fought. That's my theory. Um, DJ, so what do you think so far about the women's tournament, if you kind of remember anything?
Um, I didn't really pay attention to the match too much. I kind of got bored. Uh, One thing I did notice is why is Nikki ASH still wearing a superhero costume? I mean, I'm definitely not into cringy stuff, and that's top cringe to me, or one of the top cringiest things going on in wrestling. Should not. I mean, I like my wrestling to be more realistic, more like good versus evil, not hokey garbage. It's kind of the reason why like I stopped liking wrestling is because it was just hokey. But
Hmm.
Asuka and Alexa Bliss looked all right. I think they look good. I don't think they're gonna win it. I think it's gonna be someone else. Other than that, and then they had like that whole interaction with Io Sky, Dakota Kai, who looks like the chick from Mean Girls, the girl from Mean Girls, the goth girl,
Hmm.
and I kind of laughed at that because I couldn't get that image out of my head.
Yeah.
And Bailey, so not really anything I could add to it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you're saying there. The next point is we're going over is I believe it was the biggest, I guess, bringing back pro wrestling in WWE in a while instead of superstar or sports entertainer or whatever you want to call it, is bringing back banned word wrestlers and pro wrestling. I was when I first, and it feels good to have the prize fighter back in Kevin Owens and not the hocus pocus or whatever you want to call him. It's going back to his roots of when he first started in WWE and before that as well. He's finally having that oomph again, that badass Kevin Owens that we all came to love. Uh, then the Drew McIntyre really shedding the WWE skin that he's had, the chosen one, the Scottish warrior, or whatever you want to call him. He's Drew McIntyre. He's just a certified badass and not a corny sports entertainer anymore. I really enjoyed his promo work. It was something that wasn't cringe. It was actually something that felt authentic. It wasn't something a script. They're actually letting these guys speak freely and not you have to say this. That's what I really appreciate in these promos now with Triple H being under the realm. Um, the same thing with Kevin Owens. He's seems like he's taking no prisoners. He's just gonna fight and not beat around the bush. The typical WWE heel is like, oh, we're gonna fight next week. No, we're gonna fight now. We're gonna kick each other's ass while we do it. And that's pretty much what's getting the excitement back to the fans. It's not so crazy anymore. Corny dumping dog food on people's faces or anything like that. It's actually pay-per-view level matches and free television, and that's what I want to see. As a casual fan, that's pretty much just all around. I give it everything an A+ with the Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens promo from what we had.
Oh yeah, I think this was the best segment in the show. It's the one I remember the most. Just hearing Drew McIntyre said we're pro wrestlers and we're gonna have a wrestling match. I was just like, oh wow. I wonder what Vince McMahon thinks. But dude, the match was really good. The thing I love about wrestling is like it's not um, the difference between AEW and WWE is a lot of the AEW wrestlers they want to go at 100 miles an hour. They just want to do one move after another, and it gets annoying after a while. They don't let the fans breathe. I'm a huge AEW fan, by the way. Don't get me wrong, but I am the type that just because I'm a fan of something doesn't mean it can't be better.
Yeah.
So with WWE's wrestling, they started out slow and they built it and built it and built it. AEW, a lot of these guys don't do that. They just want to they want to throw the kitchen sink all at once. And for this match, I give it an A+. It was really good.
Yeah. Another thing is one of the things I enjoy, and I know AEW has what TJ's talking about. It's like, AEW is 100 miles an hour. constantly 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, tables, blood, gore, blood, gore, blood, cussing. Try to get a cheap reaction out of the fans. And that's the biggest issue I have. Is if you're gonna do, if you really want to engage your fans, you don't need to constantly do a cheap reaction to get your fans on board. I understand they're a new company. They're what 2 to 3 years in.
3 years.
You don't have the blood and the gore, the barbed wire matches or whatever.
The
It's
garbage
it's cool.
matches.
It's cool in spaces and in sporadic times,
For
but
what?
what seems
Oh, sorry. From what
for
I
what how no okay you go.
for what I know and from what I've heard is you want to save these. Not they're called garbage matches if they're every week to me, but you want to save these high stakes matches for pay per view. What I was hearing is that can't remember who it was, but it was back in the day where Jerry Lawler had a match and he had an eye patch. And they only like Texas Death Match. That's what it was. It was the Texas Death Match. It was only done like once in a great while, like maybe every year, maybe every 2 years. Every 3 months, it feels like AEW is doing a Texas Death Match, and it's like, come on, man, you don't need like that's why FTR and CM Punk are the best thing, and MJF are the best things going in AEW right now, is because CM Punk has really good ring psychology. I mean, sometimes he messes up, but that's just, it happens. But at the same time, FTR, they slow down. They build it. They build they build the match. They're not trying to, like, take the air out of the room, like, every second of every minute of every match. That's why they're so great. And that's my problem with AEW. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan, and in order for wrestling to flourish, you need that competition. You need another company that's going to push you. And if you keep doing the same thing and keep bringing in garbage matches and not telling a story in the ring and not telling stories in your segments or your interviews, I think that it's really bad for wrestling. At least that's just my opinion.
Yeah, the thing is too is just you got to be consistent with your viewers. The thing is that my best quote Triple H has ever said is, you don't need to constantly. If you want to mutilate yourself on a constant week, have death matches or whatever, fine, be all means. But if you want to attract the average viewer and retain your audience, you got to have storytelling in your wrestling. That's the core of it. You could be TV 14, PG rated, TV for sport, whatever it is. If you don't got storytelling, cool. It's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna. They went through a table. They went to nails. Oh, that's cool. But are you really a week later? Are you really gonna retain that? Are you really gonna talk about it a week later? No, you're gonna talk about talk to you to your heart. This guy pulled my heart straight, like the Undertaker Shawn Michael match, the retirement match. That's what I still remember. Years later.
Yeah.
That match. I don't remember, the last Elimination Chamber match or, the whatever 10 steel cage ladders or whatever AEW does. I don't remember it because it's not storytelling to me.
Yeah.
It's just crazy cool stuff in the moment. Instant gratification for a cheap reaction. Mm-hmm. So next thing, obviously, in the Raw recap is, the Mysterios versus Judgment Day.
Well, they haven't even fought each other. Well, they fought each other, but promo. It was the Judgment Day promo.
Yeah. I'll let you go with that because you're pretty much more with them.
Yeah, well, I'm not really a fan of them. I think they're kind of, like I said, I don't like spooky, like hokey. Undertaker did it with perfection. He kept it kayfabe. He kept it real. Like and I never looked at him as like being some kind of mystical guy. He just was a guy who just kicked your ass. And with like Judgment Day, and especially with the House of Black, it's just like, it's kind of spooky and it gets kind of old really quick and you can't really keep it up. You got to kind of evolve it. But the one thing I'll say is like Damian Priest can cut a really good promo. He has a very good voice. I wish that they didn't just stand there and that they actually interacted with the fans a little bit more. But other than that, they have a very good they have a good stable, but I just don't like the spookiness. And then
No.
and then I think Rey Mysterio came out and started beating on them with the chair, and Rhea Ripley gets in the way, and then all this stuff happens. And did Edge come out?
No, I don't believe Edge came out
Okay.
on this last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing is too is I like the core principles. Judgment Day. I like Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, and Priest. My biggest detriment to them is I feel like they took Edge away too early. They didn't give him enough time to really gel with the team.
Yeah.
I thought Finn Balor should have been the last introduction to Judgment Day, 4 members, to have Edge be the leader. I feel like that's what they're lacking right now is the leader to
They
make
could have done it
so.
like Evolution a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. With Edge maybe being the Ric Flair of the group, having Finn Balor be the Triple H, and whatever. I feel like Evolution or not Evolution, Judgment Day had their principles, but it's just with Vince McMahon being there, he
Wanted to
jumps
do.
the gun. Jumped the gun a little too early. Before now, the issue is they're trying to build back that credibility like they wanted.
Your cameras are going a lot, but
okay, sorry. Having the issues, they're trying to build back that credibility they first had.
yeah, I heard Edge didn't want to do it because of the whole spooky thing.
Yeah. So actually, Rhea Ripley actually touched on, or either Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest talked about it. That was actually a false report. They had no intentions of doing any spooky supernatural stuff. It's just Vince McMahon wanted to change.
Okay.
And obviously, person we're all missing here, haven't really talked about, is Pillsbury Doughboy, Dominic Mysterio. Guy has no charisma.
For
He's looking a little.
for someone who's the son of Rey Mysterio, and I think is he the godson of Eddie Guerrero?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
I could be wrong. He's been around great wrestlers. The guy has no facials. The guy doesn't know how to cut a promo. He's all right in the ring. I don't think that Rey Mysterio style translates to Dominic. I think he needs to switch it up. You could put a mask on Dominic Mysterio. Maybe that'll make it better. But I don't know how someone. Well, LeBron James. I mean, not LeBron, Michael Jordan's kids. For as great as Michael Jordan was, his kids didn't make it to the NBA. So maybe that's kind of give him a pass. But at the same time, if you're in the industry and you're getting pushed like that, you gotta come to work.
Yeah, and my biggest issue with him, to be honest, is he's 25 years old. He is nowhere near ready. I believe he needs to go back to NXT, learn a couple of things, learn how to cut a promo, learn how to wrestle on his own, stand on his own feet. And, there's, Austin Theory, who's, I believe, 24 years old. We got MJF. We got, a couple, Hook or whatever. We got a lot of wrestlers who have charisma, who know
Ricky
how
Starks,
to talk.
you got Ricky Starks. I think Ricky Starks is a little bit older though, huh?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, he has no, why people are getting, he doesn't fit the WWE or the pro wrestling mold. I mean, I know Kevin Owens is kind of fat, chunky or whatever, but he overcomes that with talk and wrestling. But he has literally only thing going for him right now is him being Rey Mysterio's son.
Yeah.
And other than that, he's getting fatter in the ring. He's getting a little bit more unathletic. He does botch more than usual. He needs to take a step back, lose a little bit more weight, get a little bit more muscular, go back to NXT, learn how to cut a promo and how to wrestle. There's nothing wrong with having to take a step back. And honestly, if we want a character change, I told TJ this in the past, off the air, is I think he should turn heel and instead of being a Mysterio, turn a Guerrero.
Yeah, just straight up just say, I'm a Guerrero now.
Yeah, or, just say, hey, you should have been the one that died, not him. You know, you know how that he would become the biggest heel in the company. He would, instantly have that heat on him. Not that just cheap heat or whatever. It would actually turn him from being,
No,
a jobber performer to a guy who's credible. But obviously, Rey Mysterio is on a getting on father time pretty soon. It's just, I mean, there you only have so much little time to capitalize on this. So if you gotta, do send him to injury or have a kayfabe injury or whatever, get him off the air for a couple of months, have him, work out, have him, learn how to cut a promo or how to wrestle a little bit better, than to, come around, Royal Rumble time and turn on his dad and he say if he needs help or whatever and say, no, I'm a Guerrero, even joining Judgment Day, That's my biggest thing.
yeah. Another thing about Ray, like Ray is a one in a million athlete. Like he makes
Mm-hmm.
his stuff look really good. His stuff looks really good, and like there's no other wrestler can do it like Rey Mysterio. That's why Rey
Mm-hmm.
Mysterio was so over. Rey Mysterio is so good. I won't say oh. I'm trying to keep it as a wrestling fan and not try to use all these smart terms. But as a wrestling fan, Rey Mysterio, when I was a kid, was one of my favorites. Like he was cool, man. Like he did the flips, but he made it look cool. It wasn't like oh, like in like we're gonna hold hands and we're gonna go up on the rope together and do a flip. Like you can tell
Yeah.
that's choreographed. Rey Mysterio looked like he was actually doing these things. And with Dominic, he's a big guy. He's a bigger guy than Ray. He needs to like I think his style fits more like he should wrestle more like Eddie Guerrero if he's gonna do like lucha, or if or maybe change it up and be like a off the mat wrestler instead of
Mm-hmm.
trying to be Rey Mysterio 2.0.
And one of the biggest thing is too is when you just talk about his moves and everything. When Rey Mysterio performs, it's like you said, it's just not just doing it just to do it. All his moves flew with perfection. It all made sense. It all had a reaction to that reaction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is too with Dominic, what he's lacking is just plain old charisma. He's letting other people do the work for him. He's more of just like he's unnecessary to the actual contribution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our biggest thing is, like I said, he needs to take some time off, go back to NXT or even the Performance Center, and learn how to wrestle and talk and be a superstar in WWE and not just some
Not a legacy thing.
yeah, not a legacy thing. The difference is between, even Charlotte Flair when she came into WWE, she went straight to NXT. Got to learn how to, be a wrestler, how to perform instead of just jumping her straight into Raw or SmackDown. That's helped her out tremendously, with the four horsewomen and everything.
Yeah, I think the only person I could see do no didn't Randy Orton go to OVW?
Yeah, in WWE, John Cena, Batista, Brock Lesnar all went to OVW when it
And
first
Randy.
started, and Randy Orton. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, even Randy Orton, who's a Hall of Fame, he's possibly one of the best wrestlers in the world ever. Right, not ever, but right now.
Yeah.
But maybe even ever. I don't know. That's up to you. But right now, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he even went there. I don't know. I don't even know if Dominic even went to the Performance Center or anything. I
Yeah, that's the thing is you look at him, you don't see him as a wrestler. You're just like, man, this guy needs a lot of work. When you see him, you don't get excited. You don't, it's what's the word I'm looking for? He's a work in development. You know, you gotta take your time with him.
prospect.
He needs more. He's a prospect. He needs to take his time in the performance center to learn how to grow and be a wrestler. And that's not a knock against him. It's just he has a lot of work to do. He's not
Ready.
a profitable. He's just not ready.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on from him. I think we've talked at length on poor
Yes.
Dominic.
All right, and now we're just going to talk about the main event.
Actually,
Theory versus.
I thought we were gonna talk about
Oh, yes. The AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. I'll let you go first on that one.
I really think Miz and Ciampa ruined it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're they're basically against both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't like the so there was really no point for them to get involved. I feel like when you have a distinct person who's the bad guy and a distinct person who's the good guy, have the help come out and like cheat. That's how I
Yeah.
remember wrestling. But when you have two good guys and a random bad guy comes out with his friend because they're mad because they lost a match, it makes me feel like it cheapens the match to me. Like you're having a
Yeah.
title match and there's no reason for them to be involved other than the fact that they're upset because they lost a match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually kind of thoroughly enjoyed the match and Miz and Ciampa being included, and I feel like it's gonna be something that's gonna add up to Clash of the Castle, probably being either a fatal three way or fatal four way or whatever. I really enjoyed the wrestling on it. Like I said, pay per view worthy competition with Triple H being at the helm. I can actually see AJ Styles raising his worth, his whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed AJ Styles' wrestling. Oh, of course, he's one of the best in the world at this moment. Um, but also the mystery of Dexter Loomis. Last week he
Oh
was
yeah.
him getting arrested by security, and this week jumping the barricade, and just them acknowledging it. It's adding layers to the story. It ain't no one sided. It's actually 3-dimensional. It's like, what the hell's going on in the background? I actually really enjoyed that. Um, but in the overall aspect of the United States Championship, with Roman Reigns, as much as I love him, he's holding the both titles hostage at this moment. It's kind of adding worth to the mid card titles again. They're
Mm-hmm.
not just
Switching them
jobber,
around.
switching them around or adding no weight to the time, just to how they've been in the past.
You got
So
basically a former world champion as the champion, and then you last night you had AJ Styles, who's another former world champion, fighting for this title. It meant
yeah,
something, and the moves, like what's his name? AJ Styles looked he was hurt. He his back was hurt, and he couldn't do
mm,
a lot of the moves, and that's another thing that. And I hate to be this guy. Um, Another complaint I have with AEW is like nobody sells in AEW, except for like the ones that I've mentioned. Everybody like they do like some big like last week. Freaking Darby Allin does I think it's a Canadian destroyer, and they didn't sell it. They got right back up and did more moves. Like make it to where you look hurt. Make it look hurt. It hurts. Like these moves hurt, but you get back up and you just keep doing more moves. Like the last move didn't matter.
yeah, yeah. That's why I don't really like AEW. They do all these special moves, all these jumping from whatever structure they want to jump off of. And the next week they try to do it again or try to do something new.
No,
It's
not
like
even next
you
week. They
already
do
for
it. They do it like 10 seconds later.
yeah. That's just it doesn't have any worth to it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I give the AJ Styles versus Bobby Lashley, an A. I do feel like he might lose the title at Clash of the Castle to either Ciampa or some ages or whatever. I'm just really excited about what the future of the mid card titles actually is.
The Intercontinental title's kind of gone. I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on with that.
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that
Okay,
later.
okay, cool.
We're on Raw right now. Obviously, to the next thing is Riddle and Seth Rollins. Really excited about that match. Uh, we already know what Seth Rollins is. He's the Messiah, the drip god, the architect, whatever you want to call him. He's somebody who knows how. He's a plus 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 performer, main eventer. Um, we already know what he is. Riddle, I'm actually enjoying him right now a lot. he reminds me a lot of RVD, not just because they're potheads, but two is just how they are as wrestlers and personalities. I actually liked RVD a lot. And just Riddle, him being a little bit more serious now and not a goof character anymore. He's starting to develop credibility of him potentially being a world title holder in the future. Uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed the promo. Riddle had balls behind his words. Rollins, being the Joker like character. I mean, it's corny, it's funny, but
Not my
it's not
thing.
where it feels genuine. It doesn't feel like one of those fake lies. It actually feels genuine, like he wants to get under your skin, like he's done in the past with wearing dusty roads, polka dots, and the
Or the
old
shield
shield
thing.
gear
The shield
or the
gear.
shield gear. Uh, I I'm excited for the future. I know I'm sounding like I said it before. I'm a WWE mark. I enjoy it a lot. Um, that's how I felt about the Seth Rollins and Riddle promo.
Uh, Not much to say. I will say that Riddle does look like a creative character that we used to make.
Yeah,
I really think that putting on some boots would do him better than having bare feet because I just can't get past. I
well,
always think of
you gotta remember too. He's a former MMA fighter, so he has that MMA background.
oh
So he's not just doing it just to do it. There's actually a reason why he wears that. He was a former MMA fighter before he got let go. I believe it was for pot or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but he was let go by UFC, and WWE picked him up.
okay, now I know I didn't. But Ken Shamrock didn't he wear boots?
Yeah, he wore boots and he wore boots in the trunks and
I really
everything.
just think that it's like you gotta kind of like if you're an MMA fighter, cool, but like I can't get past the fact that like we used to create WWE wrestlers and
Yeah,
we would be bare feet, and it would be because we forgot to put boots on them. So like I always laugh every time because I always think of those days. But he
yeah,
cut a good promo. I will say he cut a good promo. Um,
yeah.
so is what it is.
Yeah, and obviously now to the main event. It's Austin Theories versus Dolph Ziggler. Uh, it was nice to see Dolph Ziggler in the main event of Raw. It was kind of something that was unexpected. But with Dolph Ziggler being the best seller in the business, I mean, it's finally good to have his recognition.
He reminds me
Obviously,
of Mr. Perfect a little bit.
yeah,
That's how Mr.
obviously,
Perfect used to do it.
yeah, he's years and years past his prime. Not saying he's not great anymore, but the reception he got from the band, how hot he was with the fans and over. I mean, I feel like he's way past that now. Being years later, just being buried and pushed down by Vince McMahon. He was a main event level talent. That was before he wanted to be like Shawn Michaels. That was when he was with you know Vicky
Vicky,
Guerrero and the bleach blonde hair. That's when he was over to the max. We all remember the
the
cash
bad
in.
guy.
Yeah. And the Austin Theory, obviously being the newcomer that he is, the Money in the Bank. A lot of people I guess, aren't liking Austin Theory for his character of being a Vince.
I think it's because they
Pro-
don't like the fact that he's being pushed so fast. But dude, the guy is great. The guy is.
he reminds me honestly like a young John Cena. Or I know that's kind of what they see now, but it's just the way he talks, the way he's very athletic, has very good wrestling skills, knows how to talk on the mic. He's a natural heel. That you're not if you like your heel, then he's not doing his job. If you're like, man, I don't like this guy. He's getting overpushed. He's being annoying. I don't want to see him on the screen. I mean, isn't that what a heel's supposed to be? You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? That's what I want to see, and I'm still waiting for when he cashes in. So I do believe if Drew McIntyre wins, to have him just be the ultimate heel and everybody get pissed off, and have it, everybody's happy with the booking now, and have him cash in reminds you of Vince McMahon just gonna piss people off, and that's pretty much what I want to
Yeah,
see at
you
Clash of the
want to make
Castle.
people mad, dude. You don't want the heel. I think a lot of like bad guys are like they're trying to get cheered.
Mm-hmm.
Like why you want to be cheered? I want to be booed out of the building. I want to have to like some people like have to fight my way out of the building. Like they're actually
Yeah,
gonna jump the barricade and come and beat you up. And you
Yeah,
gotta, that's the way that I like the bad guys. And now, like, everybody wants to be cheered. Nobody wants to be hated. And
yeah,
I feel like that makes it, like with Theory, he doesn't care. And he doesn't care if you like him. I like him as a bad guy. I think he's annoying. And, like, I'm just like, dude, I want him to get his butt kicked. But at the same time, I respect that he's a good bad guy. It's like
yeah.
watching Gladiator.
Hmm.
Joaquin Phoenix is such a good actor because he made you hate that character. You honestly wanted that character to die, and that's how your wrestlers should be.
Yep. I really, the match was amazing. Loved it.
The
I
finish
know
was
we're
good.
finish was good. It's good to put over, him, because I know in the past weeks, I know last week he wasn't really on there. He's been kind of not pushed to the side. He's been more absent since the Friday Night SmackDown before SummerSlam. It was just good. He kind of needed a time away, but now it's time to build him back up as a threat.
I
Time
can't
to build a
miss you if you're never gone.
exactly. So, but that's pretty much Raw recap. Uh, what do you want to talk about now, boy?
Um, well, I guess it's AEW time, right?
It's AEW time. We're gonna talk. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of AEW. I know that's what I said. I'm a WWE mark. TJ's more of the
I'm just
casual watcher of that one. You'll hear me argue and debate him and piss him off about AEW, but that's pretty much what we do here.
oh yeah. Show started out with I think a coffin match. They don't call it a casket match because that's obviously trademarked. I hated it. I hated that match. It's the same tropes as usual. Um, Another match where it's no disqualification and it's like, what are you doing? Like
Mm.
it sucked. And then you have like Sting coming out of the casket coffin like he's taking a bath. Like you're just waiting for him to get out, and Malachi Black's just standing there. Blood. If you one thing that I've learned from listening to other podcasts is if the title match or the main event has blood in it, don't don't put blood in one of the first matches unless it's like a big deal and it's like the biggest show in the world, like Starcade '83, I think. But on free TV, not a good look, and I don't remember much of it. I turned it off. I turned off that match. Go. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're talking about coffee. It's the same thing every week. They had the Texas Death Fire, whatever you want to call it, hocus pocus with the pocus. That's why I kind of turned off AEW. I haven't really paid attention much to it. They don't have a main eventer in there. I mean, Daniel Bryan's cool, but with the whole Blackpool Fight Club or whatever you want to call it, Combat Club, it
They buried him,
doesn't
dude.
have any. They don't have anybody in there that's worth watching to me anymore. They don't have NJF. Whatever's happening there, it's starting to get worrisome. I mean, if he doesn't show up at All Out, I think there's something to worry about. But with CM Punk coming back, okay, he's got my interest now. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him and Jon Moxley. But other than that, they don't have Kenny Omega. They got the whatever sisters. Who are they? The brothers who like the super kick party or whatever.
Oh, the Harley Boys,
Yeah, whatever they are.
the
Um,
Young Bucks. My
Young
bad.
Bucks. There we go. Then they got all the WWE wannabes or rejects who went in there. It's just not interesting, and a lot of too is now. Tony Khan's become a little cuckoo ever since Triple H came into power. Supposedly there was a rumor backstage where he blew up on a executive or writer or whatever, and the guy quit. He had to go beg the guy to stay
I
in
heard about this.
company,
The thing
and
is like if this guy's an insider though, wouldn't he have known the name of the guy who was gonna walk out though?
yeah,
But I don't know. I think that he needs help. He needs like an experienced booker, and I'm not throwing out any names, but we all know who I think would
Vince,
be a
Vince
good.
Russo.
No, The other guy. The other guy.
Jim Cornette.
I think he would be a good booker.
Uh,
I would think. Well, he has a good wrestling mind. He knows his stuff. Um,
yeah, I guess.
Another guy. I mean, Johnny Ace is out there, right? No.
Just as long as you don't got a women talent trying to have sex with them, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's just my biggest thing is AEW doesn't have any stars.
They don't have a booker.
Like another thing, like I told you in the past, is they had every week, oh, brand new return, brand new return, brand new return, brand new return. I mean, I know WWE's doing that now, but they have the space, the watch time to do it. AEW only has 3 hours in 1 week, and AEW Rampage is just that 1 hour.
It's not even. I
extension.
watched it. It's not even.
It's an extension of Dynamite. And the thing is, but with WWE, they have the content. They have 3 shows. They have Raw, which is 3 hours. SmackDown, that's 2 hours. I believe NXT is an hour. They have the capability. Plus, they have main event. You know, obviously, main event's really not that much. You know, they have the capability of, you know, having those superstars. You know, Raw is very much different from SmackDown. It feels like 2 different products.
Raw is way too long.
Yeah, but
I got bored about halfway through.
And that's the thing, the issue they have is they let go so much talent that they're now having to restart everything, which is fine. I don't mind it. It is what it is. We can't worry about the past. But with AEW, they almost have an oversaturation of talent where we have, you know, people like Miro, Rusev, you know, liking tweets on Twitter saying he was better booked in WWE than he is in AEW, and other AEW stars liking the tweet he did. And you know, that's the issue I have is with Triple H being back, they're gonna wanna, you know, WWE's like a little bit more enticing. You know what I mean? I don't gotta, you know, Triple H, he knows what he's doing. Maybe AEW ain't so great anymore. You know what I mean? And that's my thing, which they brought, you know, Dakota Kai back, Io Sky from NXT. They got, you know, Dexter Lumis. They got Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux. You know, Bordeaux, whatever her last name is. Yeah. It's starting to become interesting now. And I know Tony Khan, and ain't no sunshine and rainbows anymore. They're going to say, oh, Triple H is in power. It's looking a little enticing. So, and that's what he said.
And he doesn't know what he's doing as a booker. Like,
yeah, and he's saying now, I have these people under contract for a couple more years. I was like, if you're confident in your company, you're not going to make a publication like that.
Yeah, I feel he's acting a little unprofessional recently.
Yes.
Also, you know, like the only thing that they have going for them is, you know, CM Punk, FTR. They don't even use FTR. They're not using them, and they're the best, arguably the best tag team in the world right now. And
another thing is, sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry. And another thing is, you got Tony Khan hugging his wrestlers like doesn't want them to leave, hugging them, you know, kissing them or whatever. It shows weakness and leadership. Like, dude, what the fuck you doing, dude? Looking like a bitch. Sorry for my language. You're never ever gonna see even WWE in their weakest moments be like that.
No. Vince McMahon hugged CM Punk when he walked out and cried, supposedly.
So, but not on screen though.
Okay, not on screen.
They're not on screen or where they're going to be visible. They're going to see that and like, what the hell? You don't want your leadership to be, oh, please don't leave, please don't leave.
Yeah.
It's, you know, yeah. Well, I don't like Tony. I don't like Tony Khan.
What's his name? Someone was saying that when you're involved in the wrestling business as a booker, it drives you insane.
Yes.
And I don't think Tony Khan has the mentality to like handle all these people. He's too friendly. He's too friendly.
Yes.
Until he has to release you and then he doesn't call you.
Yeah, and another thing is they had homegrown talent in AEW. MJF. All these other guys. And you're going to talk about and you're gonna pay all these WWE guys millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars,
And you got the
and the
second
hometown,
biggest draw in the country in the company is AFK.
yeah, and you're gonna pay him pennies on the dollar, you know. I mean, obviously, you're gonna lose your talent, and I don't. Whatever's gonna happen with MJF, we don't know. Obviously, we hope for the best for him, but I mean, it's
He's the
all it took was
second best thing on TV, man.
if
In
not the best
AEW.
option.
On AEW,
Yeah,
yeah, if not the best, and he's nowhere to be found. He's not getting paid. He's basically, dude. He's losing all of his
he
heat. Basically, I don't want to say the word heat, but that's what it is. It's like he's losing. Like people are getting worried that it's actually something, and people are forgetting about him. Like, what are they doing? I mean, if he doesn't,
yeah.
like you said, if he doesn't show up after the Moxley and Punk match, there's something seriously wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went to WWE. I mean, he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
He might be because of Triple H. He might be who he is in AEW, but at the same time, you don't know. Like he's already an established character on AEW TV, and he's like huge. But
And another thing, and the biggest thing is too is you got to realize it all. If you want to retain your talent, you gotta. It's how they're gonna remember how you treated me. It doesn't matter if you want to offer more money than WWE is. They're gonna remember it's how you treated me. Oh, now you want me now. WWE has an open checkbook. Fox and USA Network have already told WWE we want this guy. They have an open checkbook.
for
They
MJ,
know this guy for MJF. They have an open checkbook for that guy. Whatever he wants, I promise you, they will sign him. He's young. He hasn't hit his prime
he's
yet.
25. You're
He's
gonna be
25.
26.
Yeah, he's still not in his prime yet. He's
Yeah,
just scratching the
he
surface.
reminds me of Flair, dude.
Yeah,
The way
he's
he carries himself, he reminds me of a old school guy. He reminds me of an old school wrestler, like from the 80s
yeah.
and 90s.
So, and by all means, if they want to treat him like shit, by all means, do what you got to do. But you're gonna realize he's gonna be making the other company millions and millions and millions of dollars. He doesn't like they. He knows
Well, it
the
depends
number
on the
one
fans
for.
too, because different fans watch WWE than they do.
But you gotta remember though, three things that build a superstar is personality, look, wrestling, and promo. He has all three. He is a
Same
trans.
thing with Ricky Starks right now, dude. That guy is really good, and they're not
Yeah,
doing anything with him.
and it's a whole big issue. I'm not gonna make any once it goes past All Out. I know me and TJ will probably live stream All Out together. Uh, but
That's
if
on
he
Sun. That's the
doesn't come,
Sunday after. That's the next day after Castle.
oh, perfect. We'll stream both of them together. Feel free to join us. But I'm gonna tell you, if he doesn't go on an All Out, if he doesn't interfere and cost CM Punk the match,
He's not gonna. What I think, if it happens, is he's gonna come out after the match, and
if he
they're
comes,
gonna have the rubber match. They're gonna have the rubber match at what is that? The Grand Slam. It's gonna be online in New York.
yeah. So if he doesn't, I think it's time to get a little worried. Maybe he went to W. Maybe he was talking to WWE, Triple H. Cody Rhodes came calling. That's his best friend. I mean,
I would
possibly going to
go
TV
where you
14.
think you need to go. Where you need to go. Like wrestling it has a lot of opportunities now, and if you need to go to another company to be better taken care of or have your character get over, go to whatever company. Dude, I'm a fan of wrestling. I'm not a fan of AEW. I'm not a fan of W. I'm a fan of both. So I'm just like, dude, as long as there's good wrestling out there, by all means, just give me good wrestling.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens at All Out. I'm kind of curious on what's going to happen. It's the CM Punk versus John Moxley match that's engaging me. I like John Moxley. I do. I feel like he's becoming too much wannabe Mick Foley
or Terry Funk.
Yeah. I don't really care about that, but what interests me is the after part of it.
What he needs to do, John Moxley. Sorry for interrupting. If John Moxley and CM Punk, because CM Punk wants to have an old school wrestling match. My only hope is that John Moxley keeps it in the ring and they're not outside there for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And That's all I gotta say on that. So you can keep going.
That's pretty much it. How I feel. Um, Obviously, we're gone from Raw, AEW. Next topic is SmackDown. Obviously, we don't know what's too much is going on SmackDown. We got Killer Cross or Karrion Cross coming in. We got the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and the Usos, and we got Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Shayna Baszler. I'm excited about it. I don't want to have too much expectations as much as it's been awesome. I really want them to build on Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, and also having Karrion Cross. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen at Clash. Like Clash of the Castle is going to be a big pay-per-view. First one in UK. I'm really excited about
Since
that
like the
one.
'90s, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute. So obviously when that comes on the next Tuesday, we'll review that. High hopes for that. Just overall, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. AEW definitely has some work to do.
I think both companies got work.
Yeah, WWE's on an upward. They've been doing amazing lately. Still got time. It's early. See what's going to happen on Friday Night SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what else we could go ahead and talk about.
Trying to think. Well, the big thing we already touched on it was CM Punk made his return. Did you hear the pop?
Yeah, I heard the pop. It was pretty nice.
That guy gets cheered no matter where he goes. He said he would rather he would rather be a bad guy. But you know, when you're cheered that much, you got to ride the good wave. Yeah. I mean, I love CM Punk as a bad guy more so than I love him as a good guy. But he's got all this goodwill right now.
And the thing is too is as much as I love CM Punk as a bad guy too, he's past being a bad guy. You can't have the fans hate you for being how you were at WWE, then leaving the company for 6 years or whatever,
and
coming back. He can never be a heel. He's the top merchandise mover. He's gonna be the new John Cena in AEW. That's the reality.
You don't think he could go back to being a heel? Saying screw all you guys, I left because of you.
No.
You don't think he could do that? I think he could pull it off.
I mean, possibly, but if you're gonna have, you need. In contrast, if say MJF comes back, you can't have the biggest heel and your biggest face, CM Punk. You got to have your number one and your number one on both sides.
The other thing about AEW is they have no establishment of who's a bad guy and who's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. It's just wrestling. There's no good. A lot of things I mean, I know it's more for the hardcore wrestling fans or whatever. Andy, there's no wrestling. Has always one main component: good versus evil.
No matter Star Wars, dude.
It's the story of everything. Heel versus heel, good guy versus good guy. It gets old after a minute.
You can do a bad guy versus good guy more often than you could do a good guy versus good guy, because good guy versus good guy, you're not trying to hurt each other. When you're a bad guy, you're trying to one up each other. I'm the biggest bad guy. No, I'm the biggest bad guy. With the good guy versus good guy, it's like nobody cares.
What engages stands more is not respect. What engages stands more is I want to fuck you up and I want you to fuck me up. That's what, and I want you to beat that guy. You know what I mean? It's
or like the fans, when MJF and CM Punk came out, they did that thing, and CM Punk was covered in blood, and people were booing the crap out of MJ. I keep talking about it, but it was like the biggest thing to me.
It made sense too to use blood. It showed how deep they were willing to hurt each other just to show who's better. You know what I mean? That's storytelling. That's when it's okay to use gore, mutilation, or whatever. Not just to use it, just to use it.
Yeah, it's like who said the reason why I think Jim Cornette carried around a racket was because people would actually try to attack him. Yeah, because he was such a good bad guy. Like all these old school, like Roddy Piper, dude, such a good bad guy. You wanted like people to beat them up, and with you want, like, that's how I feel when I watch wrestling. It's like when I find someone and I hate them, they're doing a good job at their job.
Yeah.
And you want that's the way it should be. Like, I want, like, say John Cena, I want him to beat the crap out of who, or like you wanted
Right. Okay. Okay. I know what
you
you're
wanted
doing.
Stone Cold to
It's
beat
like,
the crap out of Vince McMahon.
yeah, or the freaking Triple H to beat freaking Randy Orton when he was the Legend Killer, or not the Legend Killer, whenever he was bald, skinny
Yeah.
Randy Orton,
Yeah.
the menace that he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
Or Dusty Rhodes. You wanted Dusty Rhodes to beat Ric Flair.
Ric
I watched
Flair,
that
yeah.
match. I don't know if you've ever watched that, but I watched it. You wanted Dusty to beat Ric Flair.
High time,
Or you wanted Rey Mysterio to beat Eddie Guerrero. You wanted him. Or you wanted these people to get the crap beat out of them. And in AEW, you don't have that feeling. Like, oh, I want the... You're just basically like... It's like Tony Khan's got like a freaking dartboard, and he's throwing darts at a dartboard with pictures on it of the wrestlers.
Yeah, and there's one of the things is too with AEW is, for me being a WWE mark and everything, I do pay attention to AEW, is you gotta make sure you know how to sell your fans. I mean, sell your wrestlers. The thing is, though, is even when they had the Forbidden Door, they didn't even promote the matches all that well. They just expected me to know who the New Japan Pro wrestlers were. They had no introduction.
I didn't even know who they were.
No build, no nothing. They expected the normal fan to know who they were, and that's the biggest issue they had. They had no idea on how to build up.
Who fought for the title? Was that a qualifier with Jon Moxley? I don't even know the guy's name.
I don't even know. They had no build up whatsoever. They had no storytelling. It's just they're gonna have a match and expecting to know who that is.
Yeah.
They don't engage the audience on storytelling or anything like that. That's my biggest issue.
You gotta grow that way. You gotta, like, if it would be one thing. Oh, we want to talk about what's something that we would only talk about and nobody else would.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because if we just talked about like things that we liked, we're not gonna grow as a. We're not gonna grow. We're not gonna grow. We're not gonna grow as a podcast or anything like that. We got to engage everybody, like, not just, oh, we're hardcore, so we're better, than we're just gonna cater to the hardcore fans. Like, that's cool and all, but it's not gonna be sustainable. And I love AEW to death, dude. Like, I watch that every week, but like it's starting to get to where, like, there's a table every week, there's a ladder match every few weeks, there's all these garbage matches, and it's just like, dude, I turn it off and I wait.
It's starting to get redundant to the max. Oversaturated.
It's the same thing with ECW back in the day. It's like, dude, they got oversaturated with garbage.
It's like WWE before, when they just had the same rematch 10 times in a row.
They had freaking Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins like, what, 3 times?
3 times. Yeah, but the thing is, though, there's a difference with that. Each time it got better. So, but that's it.
Yeah, but I would have spread them out a little bit more.
Yeah. But I think we're ready to cap this off. I know there's something that we haven't done in the beginning that kind of stirred up to mind. Is I want to know who your favorite all-time wrestler is, and all-time favorite feud, match, or whatever. So we're gonna go favorite all-time wrestler, favorite feud, and favorite match of all time.
You're me?
You, boy.
Okay. Favorite wrestler of all time. Oh man, that's so many good ones. I'd rather do like a top 5.
Okay. We'll leave the top 5 for next week.
Okay. So
favorite face, favorite heel.
Favorite heel and favorite good guy? Oh, well, no. Favorite heel?
Yeah. Favorite heel, favorite good guy.
Favorite heel. Crap, dude. There's so many of them. Favorite good guy. Well,
I'm surprised you ain't talking about your boy.
Brett.
The best there is.
The best
there was.
Yeah, but he was a bad guy and a good guy. Like.
Hey.
But he was mostly known as the best there. Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler, dude. Like, I didn't really know about him when I was growing up, but in the last like few years, dude, he can work. That guy is literally his name. Even what's his name? X Pac even said he
Hmm.
is who he says he is. He is the best there
Yeah.
is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. He's the greatest, to me, the greatest wrestler, the best performer of all time. Bad guy, um, all time bad guy. I would say CM Punk. I've talked about him at length, but like at the same time, I don't want to seem like someone who's like, oh, like you just talk good about CM Punk. Of course, man, he's my favorite, dude. He's the reason I got back into pro wrestling last year. Dude,
Hmm.
when I saw him on screen, I cried. I literally cried when I saw him on screen because
Yeah.
it was just like I had a bad year. I had a bad 2021, and to
Yeah.
see like that happen, and you're just like I never thought he would ever come back,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, I'm done with wrestling. And then he comes back, and I'm like, dude, I'm gushing tears. Um,
Yeah.
but like best bad guy, my favorite bad guy of all time. I would put Randy Orton up there too. I think he's a
Yeah.
better bad guy than good guy. Back in the day, probably Flair,
Woo!
the best bad guy. He's the best. I mean, Hulk Hogan's a pretty good bad guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a pretty good heel. I mean, in real life, Macho Man Randy Savage was another one that I liked growing up.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's it. Favorite match of all time?
Yep.
Um,
Here, while you're waiting for that one, I'm gonna say my favorite two face and heel wrestlers of all time. Favorite heel. It's kind of hard. I have a toss up between Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, but I gotta say my favorite is Shawn Michaels. There's heat, and there's Shawn Michaels and Montreal type heat. There ain't nobody. He's the greatest in-ring performer of all time, in my opinion. That he has the look, the charisma, everything you want in a wrestler. He's
he's
just, yeah, he's the sexy boy. Shawn Michaels,
one of
heartbreak
the
kid, and
reasons
whatever you want
we have the trampoline cowboys, man.
to. Favorite face. Honestly, I gotta be completely honest. Is probably John Cena. He is the ultimate good guy. He's somebody who you look as a superhero, and he is. There is nobody gonna be like John Cena ever again.
I thought it was Hogan.
No, Hogan's a piece of shit. Uh, but I want to go with my favorite feud. This has got to be Undertaker Shawn Michaels. It was about a 3 year feud. Being from WrestleMania 25, I
It
believe
was
that's
two
what it
years,
was.
right? It was like a whole 2 years.
No, it's 3 years total. We got or 4 years technically with from the WrestleMania 25 all the way to WrestleMania 28, I believe,
I thought it
because
was
with the
like
Triple H,
26 because it was the year
no,
after. Remember, because he won. Oh, because you're talking about the Triple H match too.
yes, it was a
Okay,
4 year culmination. The
yeah.
greatest feud ever. It's something that got your attention, got you crying, got you. I remember WrestleMania was the first pay per view we ever bought, and it was the retirement match of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. And when he lost, we were bawling, crying in the living
I
room watching
remember
it,
that, dude. That was
and
awesome.
that's when it fully got my love back again. That's pretty much my favorite. But what's your favorite feud?
Favorite feud? Um, let's see. Crud, dude, you're putting me on the spot. Like I can't remember. I can't remember a lot of them. Favorite feud, dude. I don't. As a kid, I don't remember feuds. I remember the Shawn Michaels one. The one that I remember most was the CM Punk and John Cena one. I remember being the most invested in that one. I
Yeah.
remember The Rock and CM Punk, The Rock and Cena. I remember. I stopped watching wrestling.
Well, if you don't remember, it's all good. We'll go on the top five later.
Hold on.
Oh, okay, okay. Just checking,
Let me
boy.
think. Let me think. Favorite feud of all time? Could it be like one I watched, like just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be the one you watch live.
probably Dusty versus Flair?
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites. I would put that up there. And then I would put Owen and Brett up there.
What's your favorite match of all time?
Favorite match. Brett versus Owen at WrestleMania 10, I believe, is my favorite match. Like, it was brother versus brother. It was brother versus brother. It was a great match. Both are, like, top-notch wrestlers. And I could watch that one over and over. They could probably wrestle in their sleep.
I gotta say, my favorite match of all time is, like I said,
Shawn versus
Taker at WrestleMania 36. It's just
26.
26. Sorry, it's just everything you want in a match. Something that cast. It's been so many years later, and I still think about it on a daily basis. But yeah, that's pretty much my favorite match. So we're gonna talk about a little bit next week on the next episode. This is episode 1. Next week we want to obviously talk about recap of Friday Night SmackDown, Raw, AEW, what's going on. Maybe going to some rankings. Maybe going over a classic match that we've been talking about what we liked, disliked about it. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. Any closing remarks, TJ?
Enjoy wrestling this week. You know, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, and I'm excited for the podcast, dude. This is my dream, dude. We used to do stuff when we were kids, and like this is my dream, is to talk with my brother or my friends about like just stuff we like. So join us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your favorite wrestlers, your favorite match, your favorite feud, and I'm Trent.
I'm Anthony. Peace of love. This is Sticking to Kayfabe podcast.
What is it called?
Sticking to Kayfabe podcast.
I thought you said Sticking to Cave.
Yeah, that too.
All right.
Love you guys. Peace and love. Bye.
Dude, that was awesome.